accountant, finance and admin. And there's a couple of little things at the bottom I'll go through as well. But when it comes to building a team, it seems like, from what I'm hearing from you guys and from speaking to hundreds of coaches around the world, it's as we covered, it's that solopreneur, that ego-based side of you that doesn't want to give up control of a task. It's the fear of someone not doing it as good as you, right? Because again, the solopreneur is a perfectionist. Even someone doing it 80% as good as you is not good enough sometimes. Of course, maybe you hire the wrong people. You can't find good, trustworthy people. They might turn their back on you. They might leave unexpectedly. They might make big mistakes. They might steal from you, and so on. Are these the main challenges you've been facing along the way? Would that be about right?
I would think so.
Anything else? Any other major challenges that I need to address when it comes to hiring and keeping good people?
Maybe just having enough work when you like to hire a new person. Like, so you're not hiring them and just giving them 2 or 3 sessions, and then it's supposed to survive with that until you can build them up.
So keeping them busy, is it? Yeah. Knowing you've got the resources to keep them busy before you take them on. Yeah. Okay. So, like most things, like we've talked about already, the major problems, all these problems are really just symptoms of a deeper problem, which is a couple of things missing usually, and that is not looking at the team member as a cost to the business or a chore or a inconvenience rather than an asset that makes you money. So the age-old question: how much should I pay someone? Well, the first question you should be asking is, well, how much are they going to earn the company? If you look at an asset like a piece of real estate, you wouldn't visit, how much should I pay for a building? Well, how much do you plan to make from that asset when you buy it, right? It's typical investor thinking again. And so most coaches are abdicating, not delegating. Meaning, they're throwing away, they're passing off tasks out of fear, out of just desperation to stop doing it. It's someone else's problem now. And write this down. You can always delegate tasks. You can always delegate tasks, but you can never delegate responsibility. And so what I mean by that is, no matter how many tasks you give away as the business owner or shareholder, ultimately everything comes back to you at the end, and you take responsibility for everything. Ultimately, if your manager fucks up, well, you chose that manager, right? Before you criticize and condemn and blame and spout off at them, always look inside and take a deep breath and say, was there something I could have done at that point, right? And so a lot of the time we're delegating tasks just to get rid of things, and we're also delegating responsibility. Like, I passed it off to my new admin girl, she's going to do 25 million things for me, now it's her problem. And then what happens is you don't check up on her because you don't care how it goes, because you just feel relief for getting rid of those tasks. And then you don't know if she's doing a good job, you don't know if it's happening well, you don't know if the outcomes are being met. And you go and check in a month finally when shit's got really bad and she hasn't been doing a good job at all, right? Because you didn't want any part of it. And of course, the first thing we do then is blame them, because the ego is always a victim, right? I knew I couldn't trust anyone, right? You just find more evidence to support those beliefs you had in the first place, the story you had. So there are 6 stages really we need to look at when it comes to putting team members on. And picking the actual person is the final piece of this puzzle. Like, that's the last thing to worry about. Before we get to the who, we have a lot more questions to ask first. If you want a systems-dependent business, not a people-dependent one. And ultimately, as harsh as it sounds, you want to get the maximum efficiency in your business from as few people as possible. Human error is always there, so the obvious cure for that is reduce the number of humans, right? And get the most out of the least resources you can. And the ultimate thing with training a team is the systems in place that I'll show you how to put in. It should basically be, the systems should be so solid that your employees or contractors don't need to think. That's what you want to be kind of have the intention of. Like, they shouldn't have to think about what they're doing. So, you know, today we do a workout at the gym, right? There's a system that Adam puts is the workout system on the board, right? Why? So we haven't got to think when we're, you know, dying halfway through a set of burpees, right? We don't want to be all shouting, Adam, what was the next one? It was like, well, it's there on the board, right? He hasn't got to think about that. We haven't got to think about that. That's effective leadership with systems, right? That's a system in operation. So if you imagine that for everything in your business, where everything would be quantified, documented, crystal clear, communicated so that it could not be misunderstood, then you start getting the essence of good team leadership. They haven't got to think, and you don't have to think about those things. So you can all focus on the joy of the process and the desired outcomes that you want to get from it too. So the 6 steps we want to look at then, first of all, is, and you can just write 1 to 6 down the page, and then we'll go deeper into each one. So the first thing we want to look at is team member position. But I took this from Starbucks. I just call everyone team members, even my coaches. You know, no one's paid to be a coach, because then they think they just get paid for coaching and they can go home then. Right? They're a team member. Coaching is one of their responsibilities, but they're a team member. And so that usually helps people get a bit more flexible in what they're paid for. So this team member position, the first thing you have to do is understand what is the position you're actually looking to hire. So this is what Adam has done with you today. So you want a manager, you want a coach, right? What do they have to do? What does the position entail? The first mistake entrepreneurs make is they hire someone to be an admin or whatever it might be, and then after a month, you say, right, are they doing a good job? And you say, well, I don't know. Well, why is that? Well, I'm not sure what they should be doing. Right? We assume that even if specialists come in, we still have to be the ones that decide what they have to do. Right? Otherwise, the inmates are running the asylum otherwise. Because even if they're a good specialist, they might do things their way. If you just bring a personal trainer or a nutritionist in, and you guys love following the paleo method, for example, that's what you do, let's say, at your gym, and then you bring some other highly regarded specialist in, and he decides he loves the blah blah, like, I don't know, Atkins diet or something, and he's just churning out Atkins stuff. You're like, whoa, what the hell are you doing, mate? Like, this is not what we do here. And he's like, well, I didn't know. You told me to teach nutrition, so that's what I'm doing. So you always have to set the system for them, no matter how skilled or specialized they are. I tell my coaches or team members, like, I don't care about your certifications or how many university degrees you've got. When you come here, you're going to learn to do it my way anyway, because my workout system's been tested on thousands of coaches, or thousands of clients. Theirs hasn't. Until they develop a system that becomes more proven and effective than mine, we'll do it my way. They'll get a creative input, of course, but if you go and work for Gordon Ramsay's kitchen, you ain't going to cook your own recipes. You learn his recipe first, and you cook his recipe 10,000 times until you get the right to go and start creating your own stuff, you know? So you can have that mentality first. They're going to be doing things your way in the company. So team member position, this is where we want to know what they need to do, what are the outcomes of that position, you know, what are the top 2 or 3 main outcomes you want. So if you're going to hire a coach, let's say, right, you know, what could be 2 to 3 main outcomes you'd like that coach to achieve for you at the end of the month? Any ideas?
Referrals.
Yeah, so number of referrals. So it could say, can you be responsible for getting us 2 referrals from talking to the customers you're with every day? Anything else? What else would be nice for your coaches to do for you?
The retention of clients.
Retention, yeah.
Upsell.
Upsells. Sell the hell out of those waters, right? All customer lifetime value things, right? And of course, they'll have input from your community manager or other things too, but that's it. And the other one is results, right? Big one: results, retention, referrals, relationships. 4 R's. Write them down. Results, retention, referrals, and stronger relationships. That's a few things they can be responsible for. Okay, so you always want to quantify those down then. So first is team member position. So you know the coach, you're going to be doing all these different things. And so then after team member position, then you have the second one down is team member description. So you have the outcomes. The second step is creating a job description for them then, and the job description is gonna show those outcomes, but it's also going to give them the main key tasks they will be doing that will hopefully lead to that outcome, which again you are responsible for building in. So I like to give people no more than 3 to 5 main responsibilities, or people tend to get overwhelmed. So let's say we want the outcome of a specific result for the customers. We want a specific quantified number of referrals and a specific quantified retention rate, like 85% or something. And that's it. You have to quantify it. You can't just say get some upsells, right? Because you might have in mind, make $1,000 in upsells. They make $200 in upsells, and you can't really have a go at them because they made upsells. You didn't communicate clearly how many you wanted, right? And that's a lot of time a lot of things go wrong is because we don't give specific outcomes and quantify things for people. Don't assume they'll ever assume the way you do. They won't think, and they'll always try and do the least amount possible, right? So always give clear, specific outcomes. And then secondly, write down the 3 to 5 main roles they will be doing to achieve those outcomes. So it could be, leading 10 to 15 sessions per week with clients is going to be one main responsibility for a coach. Secondly, could be engaging in the Facebook group by making 3 posts a week. Could be, if you want them doing some content marketing, it could be, some kind of content requirement. And then it could be attending team development sessions to learn more about psychology and relationships and things like that. So you see that you give them those daily or weekly tasks, which should then lead to those outcomes. So they know what they have to do, they know why they're doing it, and everyone's accountable that this is, and when they sign the agreement to work with you, they're very clear on this. This is what we expect of you, this is what you'll be doing, and we'll be giving you training and tools and development to do those things, but we want to hit these outcomes. Okay, and it's not going to be like it's not like a deadline kind of thing, like with that. It's not a goal, let's say, as in you have to hit this number or you're out kind of thing, like a scarcity punishment thing. It's like these are the intentions we have for you. Like we would love to get 85% retention, and through these roles we hope and the training we give you, we want to aim for that. If we don't hit it, then we can work that and we can see where the problem is and fix it, but this is our intention. And because then if they can do those things, you can start quantifying what that team member is actually worth to the company. So you want to start looking at how much potential revenue could that team member be bringing in at this point. That will go into the job description too. You want to look at how much you think they'll be generating for the company. So a team member will either generate you a direct ROI, let's say if they're closing sales on the phone, or they might, so a direct ROI of money, or they might give you an indirect ROI of time, like an admin person. So just the admin person taking 5 hours a week off your hands frees you up with indirect ROI of time, and you can then quantify how much an hour of your own time is worth, so you can then spend it on more powerful things in the company. And that 5 hours extra, but it's by handing off 5 hours for an admin, you could spend an extra 5 hours now training your team members every morning, giving them a cool, a good meeting, a pump-up call, a leadership session, setting their goals with them, how many bottles of water we're going to sell today, how we're going to be the best part of our members' day, and that, just a little 1 hour of communication a day with them is really going to pump them up and then send them out there. If you ever watched The Wolf of Wall Street, that's a great film to watch for business lessons. Every morning, he's pumping those guys up, He has different tactics. He's like giving them cocaine and shit like that, and he's like, pump up, get on the motherfucking phone, like sell, right? But the principle is there. The tactics are questionable, but the principle is there, right? And if you can kick off your day like that every morning at the gym and send your guys out there pumped up, knowing what their intention is and how they're going to do it, that will start really building a nice team culture. The third one down, so you've got the team position or team outcome, you've got the team member description, you know what they're going to be doing. So then we move on to team member recruitment. Okay. Now, again, this is where before we really get into recruiting, you've got to make sure that every task in your business is turned into a system or a process, or what's called an SOP, a standard operating procedure. Okay. If you get, tasks are things that are done whenever they're remembered. Tasks are generally not quantified. Tasks are hobbies, right? Whereas a system is a standard procedure. It's a written way of how things are done with quantified outcomes and specificity. Okay, so any task in your business, from answering the phone to answering an email to writing a Facebook post to coaching a session to doing CPR on someone who's down, it has you can create a system for that. And a system can be one of the following. Okay. First of all, I would start documenting that task as a checklist. Is the first thing. So start with a checklist for that task, and you start breaking down the science of the task. And this can be done for anything from making a cup of tea to reverse engineering a Picasso drawing. Even art can be systemized in this way, right? It's patterns. So a checklist is the first thing. So start with like a 3 to 10 point checklist of the task being done. So if it's leading a session, you have trouble outsourcing. Actually, let's use a real example. Who has like a job that they really feel they have a hard time outsourcing because they just think, I don't know how I can get someone else to do it that way? Any examples? We'll deconstruct that right now.
Wiping my ass makes up.
Yeah, getting the angle right.
Get a trainer.
Creating my workouts, because I feel that that's something that I'm good at.
Creating the entire session, you mean, or just the?
Yeah, 'cause I create the workouts for the week, or
just the workouts, or you mean leading the session overall, or just the technical?
The
Okay, so you start with the checklist. Okay, so what are the 3, 5, maybe 7 or 10 components your workout is made of?
Going on to OneNote.
No, I mean just the workout itself. So it's like you have a warm up, I imagine.
Oh, yes. No, we have an active warm up. We have, we have a setup. I have to set it up.
Setup, yeah.
Active warm up.
Active warm up.
And then the session is, and then a active cool down.
Cool down. Okay. So yeah, I remember in my workouts we have a 7-point process. We have like active muscle activation. We have movement prep. We have then like something else, strength, endurance, like metabolic stuff, and then cool down stretches, pep talk kind of thing, like 7-point process.
Yeah, we have our,
So you just start like that, first of all, just simple bullet points, break down into the main pieces, right? The next step then, if you want to make that system better, of course, if you give that to somebody, they might get the gist, but they're not going to be that effective at actually doing it the way you would do it, right? So we can expand on that system. And then the second thing you can add is a template. Okay? So you could then give them a template. It doesn't fill in all the blanks, but it gives them a general idea. So you could say, hey, for our strength workout, we want a horizontal push, a horizontal pull, a vertical push, a vertical pull, hip dominant, and a quad dominant move, right? And you can let them choose from a checklist of exercises for each segment. You see what I mean? So that might give them a little more, if you think they have a bit of intuition to fill in those blanks themselves, or it's a very controlled way of giving them, you're giving them creative control, but it's still very controlled.
Yeah.
You might say, you can do any hip dominant move you want, as long as it's a deadlift, a sumo deadlift, or a barbell deadlift. Right? And so they get to pick. They feel like the illusion of choice, like I'm making this workout, but really, they're not. So that's like a template you might give them. The next thing then, if you really want to dial that down, is you could give them a script. And that would actually be like it has to be this, it has to be that, and so on, right? That would be, that wouldn't work so well for this task, but it might work for something like a phone call, for example. You might want to give, like Adam said, the receptionist had scripts, for example. Do you have a question?
Yeah, how long does that last before you like just turn like into a robot?
How long does what last?
Like, I'm just saying, like, the way, I understand, like, why you systematize everything that deep,
Mm-hmm.
but, like, don't you start wanting with a problem with, like, engagement? When you're almost taking away complete creativity from the trainer and the staff.
Well, this is for beginners. When they prove they can follow your system and they have some good ideas, then you might want to start, when they become senior coaches, they can have a bit more creative control. But in the beginning, for someone, you want to make sure it's airtight, until they, when they can follow that instruction. Like I said, you want to work for Gordon Ramsay, you'll follow his recipe first.
Yeah.
You might go in Gordon Ramsay's kitchen, say, I've got 20 years experience, I've got this dish. He's like, I don't give a shit. This is how we do the cordon bleu thing or whatever he cooks, right? You do that well, you prove yourself, and you give me ideas and feedback on it. Of course, give us feedback. Be open to that. But if these are kind of more beginner type people, then you're the expert stepping away here with your things you've proven for thousands of hours. So,
Sorry, I was just going to kind of add to that a little bit. Doesn't that kind of also fall into how, I think it was like on the first day, how we were talking about like the employee, self-employed, and who you are hiring. So you would probably look for people that are more willing to follow a list rather than have to like think about it.
yeah, so a solopreneur is ego type person, a contractor with more experience is more likely to want to follow their own way of doing things.
Yeah, it's easy for them.
It's more ego for them, really. Yeah. That, and generally those people won't make as good team members for you.
Yeah.
They can be like technically contracted, but it's not the technical, it's the mindset. They can be self-employed, a solopreneur technically, but they can have the mindset of an employee. Many of you guys, technically you're doing solopreneur things, but you've got the mindset of an entrepreneur now. So, you want someone who is more employee-minded, someone who wants to come to learn, and not who wants to come and shove their way around and tell you how to do things, right? So that's checklists, templates, scripts, if you want to get deeper and more locked down. And the fourth thing you can add is a video or audio tutorial for them. So you might, so let's say for your workout, you might just record your workout, or even have them attend it basically, and have them watch it and shadow. My guys shadow the workouts first of all, and we phase them into it bit by bit. When they have a senior coach shadowing them from behind and just kind of teaching them along and giving them feedback in their ear, so it doesn't condescend them in front of the clients, but they're still being helped.
One of the things that we've set up now with SNS, because again, I don't want to do this shit, is we've set everything up in Asana. So if there's a process, right, like a job that has to be done, the managers themselves have their roles. Within their roles, right, it's broken down in terms of what are they in charge of, right? What are the key things they're responsible for? They click on that, it opens up, and it has like what are the tasks involved in that. They click on each task, and within the task, it has a tutorial, which is a video, screen flow, or face video that I've created. Explains what the task is, what they're trying to do, what the outcome is, and then they have a checklist, right? Which for us is a Google sheet that links straight in Asana. Literally, all they have to do is go in and tick the Google sheet, and if they've done that, it's automatically done. And I get an email every time the Google sheet is completed through Zapier. Sends me a Zap.
Yeah, Asana is great.
So you said that's not with the Google sheet?
So with Google Sheet, right, like once they get to the bottom and it's completed and they tick the last box, I get a Zap that sends me an email.
How does Asana get into the Google sheet?
It's integrated. It's integrated with Dropbox as well. It's integrated with Mention and Infusionsoft. Asana
Active
integrates with
Campaign
lots of
we
different
use,
things.
so yeah, works well.
But the whole point being that, again, you take it from outlining what needs to be done to then what's the process to get it done, to then the explanation of how you want it done, to then the checklist to make sure it's completely done.
And that's the Google Sheets part.
That's the Google Sheet, and then email to me is to let me know if it's being done. and I don't get test kits.
Cool. So now you have an idea of what you want the outcomes to be and the roles they're going to have to do then in that job role, and how to make how to start turning it to tasks. And remember, again, 4 to 5 tasks should be the most for most team members. You might get a superhero once in a while who comes along who do more, but you don't want to risk burning them out or overstressing them anyway. We charge our clients based on results, not on time, and I pay my team members on results, not on time. So my team members work generally 15 to 20 hours each and get the equivalent of a full-time salary, right? And which makes us very competitive to work for, right? Because nobody needs 40 hours a week to do anything. That's just socially conditioned nonsense. But my guys, so basically the people I'm attracting, again, the avatar for me for that team member, and every job role you should create an avatar as well for that. While most solopreneurs are trying to attract other solopreneurs, because the ego wants to attract other egos, we look for employee mentality people. So if you think about, where a lot of you guys might have been if you did work in gyms, like I know when I worked in a gym in the beginning, I said in the first day that my biggest ambition was to become the manager of LA Fitness, right? I want to get people who were like me back then, right? Who their options at the moment are work in Virgin Active or LA Fitness or 24-hour fitness for a minimum wage salary, mostly wiping sweat off treadmills. There's no growth in there for them. There's no real career development. And this is a big plague on the industry, because what most coaches then do is they'll work in these places like for a couple of years, and they'll say, I'll do 3 to 5 years here, and then I'll start looking for a real job. Like I'll go to get a real career, like in accounting or legal or something, because they know it's not really a career I can make here. They can't really progress as a floor worker, because there's usually a gym manager put in place, and they ain't going anywhere usually. The way the gym culture is set up, it's not bred to create that progression or ascension model. Whereas in your company, you want to be like a waterfall effect, where you're stepping back faster and faster to create new roles underneath you, so people can keep progressing before they get bored and unchallenged, and therefore feel underappreciated or creatively restricted in that role. But by you literally moving yourself back and back and back, you'll open up new spots and tasks for those ones to keep going. And that's how you'll keep people with you for a long time. So I've got, the average 20, my head coach is 23 years old in one of my gyms. He just came straight from a regular gym, 23 years old, but I could tell he had the right potential, and put him in charge, And so the options for someone like that kind of 20 to 25-year-old, it's go bust your ass in LA Fitness or something, doing nothing of real significance or value. Or you come work with us, you'll work half the hours for the same amount of money, plus you'll be taking more charge of the sessions, you'll be given more responsibilities, you'll be given opportunities to grow and take on new roles, you'll be given team training, you're going to learn about mindset, you're going to be sent on Tony Robbins courses, you're going to work for somewhere that's fun, and your boss hopefully isn't an asshole. Right? This is what people want, and they come in at 20 years of age in our place, and they're like, wow, I can build a career here. Like I can be a center manager in 6 months or a year. And we're like, yeah, but that's on us, and it's just as much on you. You help us make it happen, we give you a slice of it. And we tell our coaches, we're going to need one of you guys to run this gym. When our current manager becomes a regional manager, we have 3 gyms open in the area. The manager will become a regional manager. We're going to need a local center manager then. No, we'd love to keep it internal and work with and progress you guys. Show us you're worth it. Show us you can do it, right? Show us you want it. And we give them the ball, and they can run with it. We tell them, like, you're on a salary here, but you write your own paycheck. You bring more value to this company, you'll always get a slice of that, right? And so it does give them what the employee ultimately wants is, they want restriction and control, because they don't want to think for themselves. Ultimately, they want to be told what to do, but they do want some creative control. So if they can see that they've got a stable, secure job, but there's also room for them to have variety and creativity and growth, that's like the ultimate sweet spot for them. you know, as an entrepreneur mindset, like you hate the thought of stability and security, right? You're like, fuck that, I want to do everything, right? But again, they don't think like you. And that's why the first day they're going through the identity is so important, because you can now separate yourself and realize that they don't want the same things you want. They're not driven by the same things you are. They don't come in thinking that, oh, how come the boss makes 20,000 a month and I'm only making 3,000 a month? They don't think that, right? They don't have, just because you think that way and it's your guilt trip, it's your bullshit stories, don't project it onto them. If you do have someone that comes in and thinks that, then you've hired an entrepreneurial person who probably wouldn't have applied for the job in the first place. So the identities, like, they self-segment and eradicate those problems usually. So you've got the team member description. Now we're into recruitment, and before I go into that, it's really important that you note these things at the top here, which I'm kind of assuming you've probably done already to a degree. But I've got the vision, the mission, the core values, and then company objectives. I put this on top of my org chart, so this entire page becomes like a complete one-page roadmap of the business and what's going on. So if anyone gets confused or overwhelmed, we can all just look at this and it tells us everything that we need to know. So you all have like a vision for the company, I imagine, right? And you've been talking about that all week. You've got a personal vision for yourself too. The mission is just how you're going to achieve that vision. So the vision might be, you know, empower women to feel good about themselves and have healthier families. The mission would be, we'll do that through providing bootcamp training, online courses, workshops, and so on. Do we all have core values for your company? Raise your hands if you do. Okay, so a couple don't. So core values are very important to the recruitment process, because I actually hire and fire people based on the core values more than anything else. Have you all heard, you should hire for personality and train for skill? You've all heard that, right? So what does personality mean, right? I put personality is alignment with the core values. That's the best indicator of personality that I know, right? Someone has a personality that they either love to hear about our core values and are inspired by them, or they're already living them already. So you want a couple of core values for the company. This is something that you'll just need to go and do on your own at some point, but think of what one of my mentors, Sam Bakhtiar, said to me a long time ago, was that your business is like an extension of your DNA. And in this process, the whole 6 steps we're doing here, it's about removing you physically from the company, right? But you do want to have an essence of yourself in the company, and the core values are like, it's your essence or your soul you leave in the company. So the core values are really around values that you hold, how you want your customers to think about your team, or what they want to say about your company. Kind of like a mini eulogy, I suppose, right? But for the company. So I'll give you mine, for example. They're not the gym ones. The gym ones are a bit different, but this is for consulting here. I've got number 1 is, and I've also put these to, my core values are set to like declarations. So so when people read them, it's kind of more personal. So the first one is, I will apply the highest standards of excellence in helping our clients. All right? And that's about results. So results is a key important factor for me in business, right? If my clients aren't getting results, then there's no point. Second is to be the best part of our client's day. That's experience and relationships. One of mine then is, I will embrace collaboration, not competition. Okay, so we have an abundance collaboration mindset with other businesses and other providers and things like that. Number 4 is contribute to the larger community and create a ripple effect. So that's our value of contribution. 5 is, I will keep a positive team environment where we can all grow together. So that's like positivity and personal development that these people are committing to. And 6 is recognize profitability is vital to everyone's success. So everyone on my team needs to know that profitability of the company is the number 1 thing, because it helps everyone. Profit is not a dirty word. It keeps them in a job. It keeps us able to reinvest in our community and our clients and scale up bigger. And when your coaches and team members are in on that in a way, they don't need to know all your financial numbers, but if they can understand why upselling that bottle of water is important, you know, why stopping a client from cancelling is important, because they think, well, this leads to the ultimate profitability of the company, which is going to lead to opening 2 new gyms, which means I can ascend to a new role as a manager, you know, and they see that really they're contributing to this as much as we are. And it's their little baby too. So that's just like my personal core values and things that, you know, I want to be extended into the company. If I'm not there, I know that people we bring on are in alignment with those things. So yeah, you can take some time at some point, just, you know, spend an hour or so, think of 5 or 6 things that are really important for you to be, you know, what you want your team members to do at the end of the day, despite, you know, having the best workouts or the best nutrition and all that skill stuff. Ultimately, how do you want them, you know, what standards do you want them to be living up to and passing on to your
Is
clients?
this number 4?
No, we're still number 3, but
Oh, okay.
this is something that you might want to have in place before we get into recruiting, because this is part of the recruitment process. Because when it comes to an interview, guess what the first questions are going to ask are, you know? How do you feel about, you know, getting amazing results for our customers? You know, what do you feel about contributing to the community? You know?
What I love about Facebook now in the interviewing and hiring process is if you have specific things that are within your core values, especially around health, being able to go onto somebody's Facebook page and seeing majority of what they post is already quite a good filter before they even come in.
Last week, we got a Seek application. This guy's like, I'm passionate about health. I love helping people. It's my entire life. It's all I think about. Some fucking bullshit in his cover letter. Went on his Facebook page. Every one of his profile pictures is him drinking. Every single. Now, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that inherently, but it's.
Well, if it's more than normal, that's like you're already going to have a conflict of interest
Yeah.
of some sort when it comes
Yeah.
to
And that was. I didn't read his resume at all. I read his cover.
Exactly, right? You don't care what his skills are,
Yeah.
because he's failed at personality, and we hire for personality, we train for skill.
Well, for us, one of ours is going beyond and above, right? And in our actual ad, when I put it on Indeed or I send a Seek over there, is that they have to send to a video application as part of the process, right? I can't tell you, probably out of 37 resumes we got for the last time around, guess how many people sent for a video?
Once.
One. But yet for me, one of my core values is that we go above and beyond. Like,
Or-
instant filter.
Ability to follow instructions.
Yeah, exactly right.
Um,
To read.
So yeah, so part of the recruitment process here, so that, you know, the first step of recruiting is going to be making sure that that role is systemized and has a definitive outcome. First of all, you have the job description. So so you see the first 2 points were actually just the beginning of recruitment, and that's where people come in at point number 3 here, look to recruit somebody, and they haven't even quantified, I don't know what the role actually is or why it's important. Right, so now you come into recruitment. The first thing in recruitment is your core values, hiring for personality. So the first thing we want to look for is we want someone who is in line with these core values. Otherwise, like look, you can't, the interview doesn't go any further. Right? There's no point. If they might be the best skilled coach in the world, but if they don't care about results and community and the things you care about, then you're just not going to enjoy working with them. They're not going to be a team player. Right? So, know your core values, you know the skills you want to have. Now, the next part of this is the interview process, right? So, what you're looking for, all you can really look for, I mean, whatever they put in a resume, it doesn't mean shit, right? Like, I could put stuff in my resume, you know, certifications, things I've got, I wouldn't even have a clue what they even work, so I was asleep for half of them, right? A resume really won't tell you anything. Like, if you go on Facebook, you'll find out more. Go on Facebook or ask them to make a 30-second video. You'll find out more about that person now than. Remember, most of these processes, like resumes, they're all just, you know, traditional, old school, socially conditioned kind of things. They don't really have a place as much anymore. So, all you can really look for is potential in people, right? And I'm looking for, do they have the potential, or how much potential do they have to follow my system? I don't need to know how much potential they have to be a great nutrition coach. I don't care how much potential they have to follow my nutrition program. So when you stop looking, everyone's on this search to find great people. Like, you're gonna find some kind of martyr figure who's gonna come in and like just save everything for you, right? That's not gonna happen, right? Great people are not found, they are created in your business. Your business develops them into those people, right? I mean, my 23-year-old head coach was pretty okay when he came in, but he's a hell of a lot better now after working under my system for a while. He learned more in 2 months working in my company than he learned in 10 years in his own, right? So, and it'd be the same in your companies too. So, all we can look for is the potential they have, and it's potential to follow our systems. So, in the interview kind of process, I won't go like really in detail on all this stuff, but let's say you've put out the job description. That's like your advert really. You say, hey, I'm looking for someone to produce these outcomes, and you'll get this training and all whatever information you want to put. Let's say you're talking to somebody now as part of the recruitment process. The first thing I'm looking for, I go by, first thing I'll ask is the core values, and I'll actually just walk them through my core values, and I'll ask what they think of that. I'll say, these are our core values, and I'm also going to watch. I'm not going to listen to what they say, I'm going to look at how they act. And this takes a bit of body language and a bit of reading people, but 3 things are going to happen when you walk through your core values. Either they're just going to be sitting there like not interested, which is not a good start, or they might be like, they're going to be like really like mind blown, like, this is amazing, like I never thought of that before. And that's a good sign. Or you'll have someone who's like just totally in line with you already and be like, yeah, I totally believe that. Yeah, I've been doing that too. Oh my God, I so agree. Wow, this is amazing. Right? So you'll get one of those 3 things. Obviously, number 2 and 3 are the ones we want. The ones that either are wowed by them and it's new to them, but they seem eager to learn it, or ones that are ideally already living by. I look if they're really doing 3 out of my 6 core values, that's good potential for me, right? I can get them up to speed on the rest. Again, if they don't get past that first bit, the interview's over, right? If I don't see even a faked interest, right? Then in the first 10 minutes, it's like, you know what, this might not be the right thing for you, right? Oh, but I've got this certification. I don't care. I don't need certifications, So if they get past that, the first part, then I'll start looking at their potential for skill. So we hire for personality, train for skill, but if they have personality and skill, that puts them top of the pile as well, right? So how do we look for their potential for skill or potential to follow your systems? I use a method called the 3 I's. Okay, so the first I I'm looking for is interest. Okay, so Dave,
Yes.
how knowledgeable are you about the mating habits of African bees? 0 to 10. 10 is very knowledgeable, 0 is not knowledgeable.
0.
Okay, what's your interest level in the mating habits of African bees? 1. 0. So interest correlates generally to level of knowledge. And I'm going to look at the level of interest in our field. Not just in our gym but the industry as a whole. I want to know, is someone actually interested in this industry? Or are they looking at just for a quick buck, like a trend? So I'll be asking them, what interests you about the fitness industry? Like, why do you like this industry so much? What is it about the fitness industry or the health industry that you think is so great? And they're either, they give you the superficial answer, well, it's a good way of making money and I have a 6-pack, so, right? Or you get more the answers kind of like you guys have, like, oh, it's about going deeper and helping people mentally and emotionally and creating a ripple effect for generations to come and things like that. That's like, okay, this person has a vested interest, which means they'll probably be quite knowledgeable, but at least they're passionate either way. That's the first thing I'm looking out for. I'll measure their interest. If someone has a good interest, it'll indicate that they're likely going to be a good junior team member at this point. They've passed the core values and they have a strong interest. That makes a great apprentice no matter what. Keep them on file, no matter what. Good if you ever need a backup coach or give someone work experience, keep them on file and pull them back in later. The next level down, the next I, is insight. So insight is me, I'm looking for, okay, they understand the industry now, but insight will tell me, do they know where the industry's come from and trends of where it's going and what are the implications of that, right? So I might ask them, say, you know, we run a fitness boot camp here. Do you know how boot camps started, or where do you think boot camps might go in the future with the rise of other different things? Or where do you see the industry going in 10 years with new technology and apps? And if they can give you an answer for that, someone's got deep insight. They're really studying the industry hard. You know, so they might say, you know what, it's amazing how it's, you know, we've gone from people now used to have pay so much money for a personal trainer, but now they can get trainers in a group. And I think, you know, with technology and things, we can really create a more interactive experience with our clients inside and outside the gym. And I'm pretty excited by all of that. You know, you've got a good potential person on your hands here, because they are showing initiative and future thought. This person, if they pass that second eye, they are showing potential for good management leadership skills in your company in the future, right? They might even be able to bypass coach and put them in as a manager position or a team trainer later on, right? The third eye I look for is influence. And this is really the best one to see if they follow your system. So, you know, who are they influenced by? So again, like you know, our nutrition thing is based on John Berardi's precision nutrition system. I don't even really know what it is, but I put my coaches through it because I think it's probably good, right? So if I ask a coach in an interview, like, hey, you know, what influences do you have in like nutrition? And they say, you know, I like that Tracy Anderson girl, right? You know who Tracy Anderson is? Right, or Dr. Oz, let's say, right? Oh, I love Dr. Oz's stuff, right? Or Gwyneth Paltrow's exercise book is really good, right? It's like, okay. But if they say, I'm a big fan of John Berardi and I've read all his books and I think the precision nutrition system is fantastic and I use it with my clients, has he got more potential or less to follow my system of doing things, yeah? Be far less resistance of saying, well, that's what we do, that's who we use. Because none of us are original. We've all used influences. We've all learned from 2 or 3 main figures or concepts that we've adopted. So if they come in alignment with those, again, you know they have a great potential to follow your systems. And that's kind of like basically that's the first level of the recruitment process. Is they pass the core values test and they go through the 3 I's. If they have interest, insight, and the right influence, these are all building up better and better check marks. This person is gonna do a decent job when they start. Does it guarantee they'll be a great team member? No. Because all this potential to be great is only still 20% of them being an effective team member. You found potential in them. The other 80% of them is through you or your systems pulling that potential and leading and developing them over time to unleash that potential. So it's still on your company to do that, right? You won't find this magical wizard who's gonna come in and just change everything around for you, right? It's not like gonna be like Gordon Ramsay's kitchen nightmares where they just come in and, no, you can't delegate that responsibility. Any questions on that so far? You know, and depending on there, you might then want to do like a trial demo. We usually put them through like a second interview process where we get to know them a bit more. Maybe then a trial, like a workout demo kind of thing. See how they do in a physical session, and then maybe after that we start them on like a probationary period for a bit. But it depends on the laws and regulations and things you guys have for that. But you know, the same thing goes: hire slow and fire fast. You know, so hire slowly for that. And don't rush into those decisions. Remember that your company is giving so much value to these trainers to build a career with you and develop with you that it really needs to be like, you know, why should you be giving that spot to them? Because your business is like a mentoring school for them. It's going to fast track their career, right? So that's recruiting in a nutshell. The shortened version of it. Any questions?
Are you guys employees or contractors?
Depends on different areas. Like in Romania, there's an 80% employee tax. So hell no, over there, 80%. Yeah, yeah. Like Romania came out of communism like 20 years ago, so it's like nuts. So generally we do tend to put more people on contracts, but it's under employee-ish agreements kind of thing. So it's still like you're gonna do this number of hours, these tasks, and it's like a set salary kind of thing, roughly. But we're not as vulnerable to certain like employee tribunals or additional benefits and things like that. Some team members are generally more creative, like skilled specialist roles we put on contract, and then more kind of like repetitive admin type tasks we'll put on salary, because it's easier generally. But it really differs across the board with your tax rates and.
My manager is also
Cool. Okay, so we've covered the team position, the description, and the recruitment. Okay, let's say you found your guy or girl. You bring them on, you get them started. Step 4 is team member onboarding. Now, one thing to remember with all of this, when I say this, I mean it literally, not figuratively, that your team members are your new clients. The way you think about attracting, converting, and retaining customers right now has to change. You have to you have to get people in place that can do that for you. And you need to think of your team members as this. You need to be building a list of team members, right? You need to be continually have a funnel that attracts, converts, or recruits, and retains, and ascends team members, right? Like I mean that in every sense of the word. You need to look at employee or team member lifetime value, right? Team member results, team member experience, team member development, right? They're not just people that have come in and now, okay, right, you're there, now do the work, right? You have to be really taking care of those people, so because your business, remember, is a product for them, right? What they want is a certain lifestyle like you do. They want a certain amount of pay, a certain lifestyle, number of hours to work, and they want certain like growth or contribution goals. Your company needs to be a fit for them. Your company is like the product for them they're buying into to get that result in return for them. Just like a customer comes to you to buy for your bootcamp because it gives them weight loss and confidence results. So you've got to remember that your business now is a product to the team members, okay, that you have to continually resell them on, all right? And it starts with onboarding, right? So when you get a brand new client, right, what's the first thing you want to do with a new client who's just signed up on your highest ticket package?
blow their mind.
Blow their mind, yeah? And why do we want to do that?
Because they just want to get rid of buyer's remorse straight away.
That's it, buyer's remorse, right? Your team members are the same thing. They've just signed a contract to like work in your company and do things your way, right? What do most people do at that point? It's like, great, get to work. What do? We reinforce to our team member they just made the right decision investing in us. Their time and energy and trust in us. And it's just straight away, you made a fantastic decision, we're going to take care of you, we're going to grow you, develop you. Our intention is to have the best team of coaches in the entire area, and you are going to become one. That's our goal. We have to have the best coaches in our town or city or state. Welcome to the club. We're going to make you one of the best, one of the best around, right? That makes them feel a lot more energized straight away, right? But no one treats their employees or team members that way, right? They just think, well, you're in now, get on with the work, help me out, we're busy here, right? And you think that you gave them a paycheck and that's enough. But again, it's not, because they're people, not slot machines, right? You can't just feed money into them and hope they'll do it, right? And money will become one of the least motivating things for your team members after a while, right? So onboarding is critical. The first part of onboarding is overcoming buyer's remorse and just giving them a good experience and blowing their minds, right? And saying, welcome to the team, welcome to the club, right? Get them indoctrinated in your team culture, right? Get to know them personally, set up a meeting to get to know them better, right? Take them out for a coffee. Do whatever it might be. Then onboarding. onboarding for us is them really getting used to your systems and just scoping them out to see how they do and phasing them in with the clients, or that's for a coach, but for any role, phasing them into the systems basically. We'll generally have like a 30-day onboarding period, and in 30 days we can really see then if it's going to work out or not, right? So to not go into too much detail, some onboarding things, part of the onboarding process will be reminding them of the agreement, like, hey, this is what we want for you to achieve, and what you're doing each day. It's giving them shadowing and support and mentoring as much as you can. Keeping things simple for them, not overwhelming them in the beginning. Remember, they're gonna be nervous that they don't want to fuck up anything, so their cognitive skills won't be as heightened as usual because there's a bit of fear running behind it. Once they get used to you and accustomed and know you're not going to go shouting at them, then they'll start to loosen up and they'll really start unleashing their potential a lot more, right? So in the early stages, remember, just like your clients, they're a bit intimidated, they're a bit nervous. You get a client on day one and she's like, I can't squat. And she can, but it's just fear overrides the cortex of the brain. She's like, I can't do it, right? Fear paralyzes people. Same with your new team members. It's a new environment for them. It's a lot of pressure and things. So ease them into it, make them feel good, make them feel pampered and welcome, right? But they know that they've got their job to do too. So there's giving them that support, phasing them into your systems. So give them the smallest, easiest things to do first. If you were going to give them a workout, let's say, the first thing I would do is just have them watch the session and maybe have them come in and teach the cool down or the stretches. Something they can't fuck up, basically, right? Give them some confidence. And then maybe next week, if they do that well, next week, give them the warm up and the cool down. And your main coaches still do the strength and metabolic stuff. Maybe by week 3, they start doing the warm up, the cool down, and teaching the exercises in the strength portion. Not coaching people, but they just teach it. Let them get up and use some vocal skills, right? And then through 3 to 4 weeks, you should be able to be stepping out and they're stepping more in. So you're phasing them in and phasing your other coach out. And your senior coach, whether that's you or another coach you have, will just be behind them, shadowing them and helping them along to get their confidence up. But you've got to get them in front of people, right? And same with your other team members, if it's managers, admin people, get them indoctrinated with the team, and just get them doing the tasks. And so that's 30 days of onboarding. Any questions about that?
No, just a comment from working with Adam. He had me do a training module exactly for that. So of the tasks and stuff that I'm each week going through. So it's very systemized.
Yeah. In some roles as well, like in the specialist roles, you'll be usually giving them the system. In other roles like admin and things, they'll probably come in with their own system that's better than what you could do a lot of the time. They'll have experience working for a bank or an insurance company, like a major company, and they'll be like, oh, these are the processes they gave us to do. And you'll be like, oh, it's really professional, really good shit, right? So in most of the systems I applied in my gyms, I got what I learned when I was working for Pizza Hut when I was 17, like opening and closing checklists. So in Pizza Hut, for example, if you close the shift in the kitchen, it's like a checklist of put the bins out, turn the ovens off, set the alarm on, lock the door, cash up, and the person on that schedule ticks at everything and signs. In the morning, next person comes in the morning shift and they do an opening checklist, which is, guess what? Was the oven turned off? Were the bins put out? Was the cash register cashed up? And if they weren't, and the person's name's on the bottom, that person's liable, obviously clear that they didn't do it properly, and then you can deal with that then, right? So when I went to work in a gym afterwards then, people were leaving treadmills on overnight, or fridges weren't being stocked, or tasks weren't getting done. They didn't have any systems. It was a small private gym. So I just said, well, Pizza Hut know how to do this. I just brought the same systems in, and suddenly efficiency just goes up 1,000,000%. So sometimes people can bring in their own systems for certain tasks too. So, but yeah, the more customer-facing things like coaching, things like that, it'll probably be your own. That's how you do things, because that's what's got you to where you are, right? Then things like admin, marketing, things like that, maybe they can come in with their own experience that are less customer-facing. So that's recruitment. So we've covered the team position and outcomes, the description, the recruiting, onboarding. After 30 days of onboarding, we go into team development or team member development. This is your developmental program. And this obviously just goes on forever. So this is really now where the funds and fulfillment will come for you of training a team, where it's actually like a cool contributing thing to do, not just filling up tasks, where you make your workplace like a school for these people. It's like an ongoing, you don't be a boss, be a mentor, right? Of committing to, making them, you want the best trainers in the city working for you, right? And again, you're gonna have to create them. You ain't gonna find them, you create them, right? So, because you guys probably are among the best trainers in your areas right now, right? So you're gonna now mentor people to be just as good and hopefully even better than you are, right? And this is where your developmental program comes in. So this again is where you can start making like an online program, an online portal for them, like you would make a product, right? Of like, hey, this is how we do customer relations. This is how we have good energy in a workout. This is how we, deal with these concerns. This is how we help people if they've fallen off the nutrition plan, and you just really start, creating an online product portal for them that they can really go through and just get a whole syllabus of how things are done here, right? Just imagine as if you were going to make something to sell to other fit pros. Of someone said like, oh, you guys have an amazing culture and result in your gym. Like, how do I do that? Could you like shoot me like 10 or 20 videos that walk me through how you do those things, and I'll pay you $5,000 for it? What you would do in that situation, that's what you're doing for the team members. So they always have that reference there. So you can always create that online program, online system as part of the onboarding, and you might even sell it to other fit pros. That's kind of like Adam did. He did a 6-week challenges, documented it into a system. The 6-week challenge product was checklists, templates, scripts, and video tutorials. Makes a great product. It's a complete system. I bought that system off. Actually, didn't buy it. He just gave it to me actually. But other people bought it for like $400 or whatever it was. So you're just making a product, but for your own team, right? No one else needs to see it. It's for your team, right? This is your killer method. And then in addition to that, then you want to give everybody training and personal reviews. So this is unique to you, but what I would do, I would say as a bare minimum in the early stages, if you're just growing a team now, the more frequent you keep team communication in the beginning, the better it's going to be. It's like having a baby, right? You want it needs frequent feeding and attention, and then the older and more mature it gets, the more you can back off a little bit, and they will actually start leading the people themselves, and they will lead the team. So in the beginning, I would say a minimum 3 team meetings a week. Even if it's just like a 20-minute check-in on a Skype call or something, right? But you just need close communication with the team. It's like a family you're building, right? Isn't a family value like let's have dinner together at least 3-4 times a week? Treat like, one of our core values in our gym is like, we're a family. And we literally, it's not just a fancy word, like we mean it. Like, we're gonna sit together as a family 5 days a week. And we do every single morning that my managers sit with the team just to check in with them. How's everybody doing? Are you feeling overwhelmed with anything? How do you feel about the vision? And so on. And just pumping them up. What can we do today to live up to the core values? How can we be the best part of our members day to day? How can we get better results today? How can we offer more services to people? Any other ideas you guys have, right? Are we all aware of the vision? And really, ultimately, you're just reinforcing the vision all the time for the company, because you'll be passionate about the vision. You'll have it on your mind all the time, but they won't, because they have other shit going on in life. So your goal is just re-enrolling them in that vision over and over and over again. Till it just dents their psyche, basically. And they're like, we will be the biggest transformation specialists in the world, and they can repeat it like that. Do you guys, who has a vision statement made for the company? Raise your hand if you do.
I do, but if you ask me what it was right now, I review, I made it and I put it up in my gym, but it's not something I.
Right. You have it written in the gym, though, right?
I do have it written in.
So here's an exercise I always do, right? If I put $1,000 on the table right now, and I said, if you're going to line up every single person on your team, from top coach to cleaner, if they can tell me, they can recite word for word the vision statement, all of them, I'll give you $1,000. And if they can't, you'll give me $1,000. What would you do? Would you take the bet?
I would love it.
You take the bet.
Huh?
You would take the bet.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
every person in your company right now, if I got on the phone with them,
No,
they could all tell me the vision without looking at it. I mean, like
no, I can't, if I can't even tell you, I know they can't.
so that's the exercise. What do you guys think of? If not every person in that company can recite the vision statement, they're not on the same page as you. And just imagine I ask you that question again a month from now,
Yeah.
the $1,000 question.
Doesn't help that you don't even know it
I
either.
know it doesn't help
Yeah.
that I don't even know. Well, like I said, I did it probably 3 years ago when I opened, and I printed it out and the vision and the mission statement, and I couldn't tell you.
Cool. That's okay. That's okay. But write down. Just write down. Would I take the $1,000 bet if I came back in a month from now? And again, I asked you, could you line up every single team member, and if they could not each all recite the vision statement exactly word for word, you give me $1,000, right? And that's a bet to hold yourself to. You want me to say, yeah, I'll bet you $1,000. Line them up right now. Get on the phone with all of them. They'll tell you the vision statement, and I'll take you $1,000, bitch. Right? That's what you want to do, right? So at least 3 team meetings a week, I would say, in the early stages. See how you go with that. You might back down to 2 or whatever then. Or ideally, you'll just get your senior team member to come in and lead it anyway. Then you want individual progress reviews with everyone. I would say at least once a month. So everyone should have a one-to-one sit down with you and give them a personal assessment of how they're doing. And again, this is just to keep your finger on the pulse of the lifestyles and emotions of all your employees, because if you don't, this is where things bubble up under the surface and they just leave one day. And you're like, I didn't see that coming, but it had been building up for a while. So you've really got to create that transparency and honesty kind of culture that it's okay to tell you things in the beginning before it becomes a problem. You know, kill the monster while it's small. So these progress reviews, at least once a month check-in with each person individually is really good. And I start asking again, my company is a value producing machine to them first and foremost. It's a product for them. So I start these team meetings with, how is the company serving you? Can we serve you in any way? Can we support you in any way? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you need more assistance? Can we help you with productivity? Is there something you'd like to learn, right? Like, how can we serve you as a company and keep you happy, right? Keep them happy, they'll keep your customers happy, right?
Are you okay with that? You ever delegate that to like a manager or?
Oh, I don't do any of that stuff in my gyms.
Oh,
My gyms are in 2 different countries. So, no, but that's what the head of team master specialist does that stuff. The head of team development. He's the person that, or she is the person that will recruit, choose, train, and mentor. Be the mentor for these team members, and they work exclusively with the team members, not with clients, unless they have to step in. But this is like your right-hand person for coaching, basically. So, you know, and then you can start assessing, and always ask their input first. Like, how do you feel you've been doing according to the job description? You know, how do you feel that our intentions are being met and the jobs? Are we giving you the right tools and systems to do the job effectively? And just really just let them speak and feel comfortable telling you things. And then of course you actually assess them, and if there is a disparity between what they're intending to do and what they've not done it, you know, they're not getting the results, the retention is not high enough or whatever it might be, then address it with them and don't scold them for it. We just feedback, right? They've shown you a gap in your system. It hasn't highlighted a bad person, it's highlighted a bad system somewhere, right? So it's like, hey, how can we work on this to make this better, right? And so they don't feel like they're being penalized for that. They're like, oh, we didn't get the retention rates, but instead you're asking them. In a way, the way I look at it is, if someone doesn't live up to the expectations in their job role, they don't get punishment. They get more education. They get more help and love and support. So we're like, oh hey, we didn't hit the retention targets. Like, what do you feel? I want your opinion. What do you feel we can do to improve that? And if they keep obviously not hitting those targets, then obviously you can have sterner words with them. But always the first time, assume it's your systems have let you down, or you've chosen the wrong person. Okay, so that's team development, and that's just ongoing. You can also think about every 90 days or so, then also putting in some kind of like big team get together or a little team retreat, or something. You could bring them on a retreat like this, just for the team, teaching them things about leadership, about core values, about how to be a better coach, teaching them human needs psychology, teaching them any nutrition stuff you want to teach them, and give them some fun, and they just start thinking this is the best company in the world to work for, right? They should be making all their friends jealous. Their other fitness friends are wiping up sweat on treadmills in LA Fitness for 40 hours a week, and these guys are earning similar money working for you 25, 30 hours a week, and they're getting taken on team retreats and getting progress reviews and all this kind of stuff, right? And then after team development, the final one then is team member ascension or progression, whatever you want to call it. So what is your system for not stagnating those people? You wouldn't give your clients like the same workout over and over and over and over again, would you? Without any progressive overload, because they wouldn't get any results or a good experience, and therefore they'd leave. Your team members are your new clients, exactly the same thing. What are you doing because they'll start getting good at things, and it's nice for us when we see, oh, this team member is really, really good at this thing now, and we're like, let's keep them there forever. But guess what? They're people and they value growth and development, whether you like it or not. So the best thing, this is not a bad thing, this just means you get a great admin who's just knocking these tasks out of the park, get her to train 3 more people. She knows how to do it now, right? She knows all the systems. She probably put half the systems together, turn her the other way around, say, right, we're gonna bring on 2 apprentices for you, you train them, and we're gonna pay you a slightly higher salary now, and you're gonna have less hours, less manual work hours, let's say, and we're gonna put you in a team admin development role, so you'll be like VP of admin now. You've created a new position for that person, VP of admin. You are now going to be responsible, because you should be having good growth at this point, that you might need 1 or 2 more admin people for other locations or whatever, and she can start training her replacements, all right? And of course, as people grow and nurture through your individual progress calls, you'll start putting them into different positions or seeing what else they might want to do. Or they might just need to leave through personal circumstance anyway, so it's always good when someone is knocking it out of the park in that role, turn them around and get them training 2 more heads, and then get those 2 heads training 2 more each. So you have this constant waterfall effect of just new talent being brought in and developed in the company, right? Again, it's like a football team, right? Like football teams, don't generally, if they want a superstar player, I'll use like soccer, I get that, I don't know what American football is, but in like soccer terms, if you want to go and buy a Cristiano Ronaldo for your team, like an ultra egotistical specialist, you're going to pay millions and millions of dollars, right? Which again, most companies wouldn't be able to afford to do. But you want someone who's more like a Ryan Giggs for Manchester United, who is found by them when he was 16, developed, trained, became loyal, and became one of the best players in the world, and stuck with them for 25 years and had his career with them. That's the way you want to look at it, is that you have a developmental system through your company, and then those people can turn back and now train the youngsters to come in, and at the same time your company is growing, so you've got to kind of get this balance of team growth, front end growth of customers and locations, and then team growth on the back end, and get that balance so that your team is growing to be able to accommodate the incoming clients and growth on the front end. And then you have this nice effect where the whole system is just growing. A lot of because marketing tools and things are so easy these days and accessible, most companies are front end loaded. They're front end heavy. You know, it's all front end growth, like let's get 25 leads every day, but you're not developing the team fast enough. And so you just jump back into those positions and you keep yourself stuck. And imagine a ship, and you just load everything on the front of that cargo ship, it's just gonna tip, right, like Titanic. So you need to be going through periods of front end growth and back end growth. And I call these summer and winter periods in business, like energy cycles. Like, just think of it like bulking and cutting. So bulking is like the front end growth, where you're putting your resources into getting more team, into more customers, marketing, spending on ads, 6-week challenges, building your lists. You get a flood of like 100 new customers, and you serve those guys. And at that point, what most people do is like, that was working, let's supercharge it. And you don't want to do that because you haven't got the infrastructure of the team to support that growth yet. So when we get a big growth phase, we'll then switch into a winter phase where we say, let's just stop hunting and gathering and start just maintaining our crops here. And we'll now switch our resources to our back end systems, our people, our team. We'll still keep marketing on the front end, but it won't be as aggressive. We'll keep list building, asset building, so we have more to retarget later on. Keep our content, we don't stop, don't close the doors, but we're focused a lot more on, let's now put our time, money, energy into our team. Are they being rewarded, compensated, given bonuses, trained? Like, there's 100 new clients coming in, let's get you guys trained up properly, more time for team meetings. We're building infrastructure, new equipment, maybe you need extra support staff, maybe you need extra cleaning facilities, right? No one thinks about, we have specialists, but there's also support staff you need, right? If your Facebook page, Facebook group is growing by dozens, one community manager might not be enough now to answer all the questions, so the quality starts going down. Okay, so you've got to put all these support systems in for like 2 or 3 months, get the team all polished and ready for the next stage of battle, and then we switch back into a growth phase again to handle 200 new clients. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And we'll usually phase this, correlate it with the seasonal calendar. So like December, January, February is a summer period, like that's where we're hitting marketing hard. Then we get that influx after the new year. Then, March, April, May will kind of slow things down, and let's just look at the lifetime value of our customers and our team members and get retention and referrals and upsells. Then we come into May, June, July, we start gearing up for the summer. Promotions again, back to growth phase. And so you'll see it follows a natural cycle. July, August is usually, in our side of the world, July, August is like the summertime, so that's when we go a bit quieter. But again, we don't bitch and moan and be like, oh, it's the quietest month of the year. It's like, great, let the other guys like waste all their money in advertising, doing Facebook ads when all their prospects are on holiday, right? We're gonna put our money into our team, getting them locked, loaded, and ready for the next run. Do you guys have what you need? Let's get you new kits, new uniform, new equipment. Let's invest in this place and make it shit hot. Let's give our customers some loyalty rewards. Let's give some cash prizes. Let's get some referral competitions. Use the assets you've just been building up. And that's how you get a nice balance and you keep growing sustainably and profitably, without just falling into that front-end growth trap. So a lot of you guys, you get like 0 to 6 figures or mid 6 figures or high 6 figures through rapid growth, because we can do that now, which is a great blessing. But that kind of growth is not going to keep happening after 7 figures. You can grow by maybe like 150, 200 customers a month in the early stages. But after a point, your business becomes more like it's a bigger vehicle. It's like an iceberg, it's slower, it's heavier to maneuver because there's a lot more moving parts to it now. When you're on your own with a small team, you're more nimble and you can deal with stuff and do stuff and launch stuff. You put, if you below 6 figures, if you like do a big campaign and put a 6-week challenge out and it bombs, you lose a bit of time and a few $100s maybe in ad spend. But at that kind of company size level, you put weeks of planning and a 10 grand ads budget into a promotion and it bombs, you didn't get your message market alignment right, then that's hard to recover from. your margin's taking a big hit there, and you're worried because you've got team members to pay and stuff. So you can't take like gigantic risks like at that point that you could in the first place. So your mentality has to shift at that point to more away from the solopreneur, more like the investor. And the solopreneur wants a paycheck now, just wants to get paid. The entrepreneur just wants to make a big impact, doesn't care about the money. The investor just wants to say, can I put $1 in and make $1.20 back without a headache, and play the long game, and realize that, I mean, you guys are planning to have your businesses for at least the next 5, 10, 15 years, right? There's, like I said, there's plenty of time. It's not a rush to the finish line. There's plenty of time. You're all financially secure. Think now about not making income or money, but think about creating wealth. That's long-term assets. That's wealth and freedom, time freedom and money to pay for yourself, your kids, your grandkids, from that company you've built now. It's time to take things slower and then ride it out. And so this is all integral to building your team. And these guys are not just people coming in to help you. These are your new focus, because these are the guys that are going to steer that ship when you decide you want to, retire and play golf or do whatever it is you want to do. Right? And so that's why the team members are so important. You want to get all those phases in, treat them as assets, treat them as family members, and just really love them. And just when you really love them, like leadership and skills like that will just start coming from the heart naturally, because you'll know what to do, because you're in couples, or you have families, or you know what that love feels like, right? And you don't have to be the mean, angry, shout at people boss. You don't have to lead through fear. You can lead through respect and actual leadership. To be a leader, in fact, I would say a leader has just 2 qualities to learn: to be the best leader and to be the best servant. Like, that's it, right? Any questions on that? Any other questions at all? Thank you. Good?
Good.
Yes,
Thank you,
awesome, thank you so much.
So essentially, if you're not looking to expand, you're probably guaranteeing stagnation.
Well, yeah, if that meets your lifestyle, the company's meeting your goals, then that's fine. You don't. But remember that really nothing is staying in place. Nothing is, like, there's no such thing as maintenance really. There's only momentum, right? Because if you stay stagnant, then don't forget other people around you, other businesses and gyms are going to be still growing, right?
No, I mean, like, we have one location now. What I'm saying is with the staff. So like, if we just like super optimize our current business, we're guaranteed, not burnout, but employee stagnation, because there's not enough ascension for them.
Yeah, but let's say somebody ascends through your company and they become the manager of one of these 3 roles that you have. Eventually that person's probably going to move on if something happens, right? Then what happens to everybody else? Do they never get that opportunity? Or do they only get ready for that opportunity once somebody goes? Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe there's little responsibilities that they take on along the way that will lead them into the next role. Right? Because the 2 things employees always want to feel, right? Recognized, supported, and then given some form of incentive or something to work towards, right? And it couldn't be this small, especially if they have an employee mindset, right? But at least it's something, it's one thing more than I did last year. It's one thing that I've got to do that I didn't do before, right? It's like your clients. It's not about the 50 pounds you're going to lose. It's about the first 3 pounds or the next 1 pound or the next 1%, right? It's not this huge big thing that's going to leave a void. Small.
Yeah, and if you get that business to like that level of profitability and optimization anyway, you're going to find it very hard not to expand. The entrepreneur in you is just going to be like, or the investor is going to be like, well, we should expand this, right? Because we've got great profit margins, we're killing it, we've got a proven prototype model. Maybe you have to wait a few months just to put extra profit in the bank to reinvest into growth. But it's, I don't know, I've never met an entrepreneur who can stay still for too long.
Yeah, and that's something like where Matt might decide if he wants to expand the business in one way, right? And you just support him. Once he's doing that, he needs to be replaced. Something that haven't been through the money.
Yeah. Cool. Other questions?
Yes.
Or even like what he was saying, maybe because you brought him up through your ranks and he knows all the stuff or whatever, and maybe you invest in him and let him.
You can become a CEO of the company. You guys watched the founder, the McDonald's story? The guy serving chips in the beginning, like got recognized by Ray Kroc, doing good jobs flipping burgers. That guy became the CEO of McDonald's 15 years later. Worked his way up through the company from flipping burgers to being CEO of McDonald's, right? So again, if you're always analyzing the interest, insight, influence, and looking at the insights and seeing someone that like really is looking at where the industry is going and they want to lead things that way, that's your people that you could be putting up to those positions of taking the reins of the company one day. You know, see where they want to take it, and you just be the investor. You know what? Yeah, it's your vision now, but I'll invest the money and resources to get us there.